EV startups, like any automotive startup, are a real force to be reckoned with, and they're not for the faint-hearted. They are extremely expensive. And you may have heard about Elon Musk and Tesla, with him pouring billions into that company over a 10-year period before it even turned a profit. That is unsurprising. Let me try and illustrate that. If you take some dollar bills and stack them on ends side by side and put 10,000 of them together, you're basically going to cover that distance with a long stride. That's actually more money than most Americans save in their entire lives, believe it or not. Now, if you stack those same dollar bills and stretch them, say, west to east across Pennsylvania, then you're looking at the financial requirement that it takes to develop, engineer, put it into production and market one new vehicle from scratch. About 6.5 billion. So I admire anybody that actually manages to do that. And one such person that has is a chap called Robert Scaringe. 2009, he set up a company called Avera. He got some financial backing from Ford, and he wanted to put an EV coupe into production called the R1. He changed the company's name and abandoned those plans for that coupe. He changed the name to Rivian, and he started work on a singular, what was called skateboard platform for all future products. He wanted to develop an off-road pickup called the A1T and then an SUV equivalent called the A1C. But after the name change to Rivian, those two products were renamed R1T and R1S respectively, and it's an R1S that you see here. This vehicle took about 10 years to develop. I'm Darren Walker, and this is Auto Atlantica. Okay, so the Rivian R1S comes with the choice of 3 battery packs, and I'll flash those up on the screen. The base ones are 109, and I believe that the top one is 149. This one has actually got the mid-range pack in it, but there are also 3 different types of electric motor setup. 2 dual motors, one is a performance motor, and 1 quad motor. Now, the 2 dual motor setups produce 535 horsepower and 655, I believe it is, respectively. But then the quad motor, which this is, produces a whopping 835 horsepower. That's staggering. So this is pretty much the equivalent to that Hummer EV that I walked around not too long ago. It's fair to say that the Rivian R1T and R1S, they all have this same sort of fascia. It's quite Marmite. You've got to really love these lights, I think. I like them. The jury's still out for me, but they are kind of cool. There's no doubt about it. The whole car has a very traditional looking stance. It's got a high ground clearance as well, and these munificent sort of like 21-inch wheels as well. It's an understated look. It's very, very difficult to imagine this thing having 835 horsepower, but it does. So to access the charging door, you just press here, and the charging door lifts up like a Lamborghini scissor door, and then you've got the standard plug there. Again, Rivian have teamed up with Tesla to use their NACS system, and they are intending to put that system into their cars from 2025. Now, one of the really cool features that I forgot to film was this flashlight that fits into the door, rather like Rolls-Royce's umbrella. But I did film the really cool door handles that open up when you enter it. So the tailgate is electric, and it's also a split tailgate, rather like a Range Rover. So the bottom section actually That's manual. That comes down and you can sit on this section here. This is a 7-seater. It's got the back two seats actually folded down right now, but there's a lot of room in the back here. Consider it's not as big. These dimensions are not as big as the Hummer, nothing like, but it's still a very nice place to be. There's the armrest for the rear row passengers, and you can actually electrically operate. Oh, that's for the, okay, gotcha. That's for the second row seats. So when you fold those down as well, you've got a monumental amount of room, and it's very airy with these twin glass panoramic roofs. So the rear seat passengers get these fully reclinable seats. They're very upright at the moment, and they've even got speakers in them as well. I'm not quite sure if this is supposed to be that way, but it's got cup holders in that centre armrest. Rear seat passengers have even got their own infotainment controls as well, so they can choose to listen to whatever's on Spotify, as you can in the front. I'm going to come to the front in a minute, but that's pretty impressive. I like these panoramic roofs here and in the back. It just gives it a very airy feeling. I'm not really into white leather, but those do look very cool indeed. I was unable to figure out the height adjustment for this steering wheel. I'm sure that there is one, but essentially you've got this really nice sort of wood. It's this wood effect. I think it feels like real wood. It's like a distressed wood. It's beautiful. You've got a small screen in front of the driver here, which I think is configurable, but it's basically, as soon as you turn the vehicle on, you've got a navigation screen right in front of you, and then you've got some other information as well. Basically the battery gauge is quite, it looks like a phone. You've got 70% left, 214 miles it's saying. This typically should get about 315 miles at full range, which is almost identical to the Hummer EV. Then we've got this sort of large flat panel center screen here as well. So let's just, the thing I don't like about this is that there's quite a bit of glare on it from that sunroof up top. But I'm going to, if you can see this, I'm going to try and just run through some of the basic things. So this is your music. You've got Spotify on this, and Amazon Alexa, and then you can hook your phone up to it as well. And this is basically what is showing on the screen for the back passengers as well, whatever you've got in there and playing. But it's rather like it looks like an Apple screen actually. This is for the four-wheel drive, so you've got various types of ride configuration here for on-road and off-road. So you can turn on the brake regen. You've got various modes for that, the stability control and your ride feel as well. So you've got a firm ride and you've got a soft ride. I'm going to keep it on soft. So you can increase the ride height as well. We don't want to lower that ride height, but you can, anyway, that's configurable. Then for off-road, off-road modes are not intended for paved roads, so we won't go into that right now. And then there's modes for if you've got a trailer hitched up to this thing as well. So you have a full 360 camera setup, which is rather nice. The cameras themselves, the image quality isn't that great. I was expecting more, but there you go. And then you've got quite a nice 3D Google Maps here as well. This should tell you where all of the charging stations are. Press this here. Network. Yeah, you've got a Rivian network here. ChargePoint, Electrify America, EV Connect, EV Go, etc. So that'll tell you where the chargers are. So we'll turn that off. So it's rather nice. It's just like a big iPad, basically, in the middle here. And then you've got your seat controls in here as well, and ventilation controls, which I don't like. I'd rather at least have traditional buttons as an option for these things, but it's all menu driven through this. And there's the heated seat. I'm going to turn that down so we don't want the defogger on. I mean, it's a nice graphic, don't get me wrong, it's very impressive, but it's kind of cumbersome. I don't know what this is for. There's a paw print up here. Is that for, no, it's for pet comfort. That's interesting. Keep pets comfy and safe in the cabin while you're away. Window controls will be disabled. Only used for pets. Never leave a child unattended in the vehicle. So basically what that does is the dogs can't undo the doors and it keeps them nice and cool, which is kind of rather nice. Anyway, and then on the other side of the dashboard, we've got more of this like distressed wood with the Rivian moniker emblazoned into it. That's rather nice. So when you climb into this, I really like the size of it. Actually, it's not a overly big vehicle. It's kind of really a similar size to a Jeep Wrangler in terms of its dimensions, and I'm talking about the four-door Wrangler, not the short wheelbase one. So it's actually a good size to sort of throw around. So it's ideal if you are going off-road actually in something like this. You don't feel that you're in something that's huge and unwieldy. But the driving position is kind of nice. These seats, I'm sure that there is some sort of probably massage function in here as well. They are fully electric, both sides. And you do get a fair amount of support, but they are on the hard side. I'm sure that you can probably change those settings. I haven't really sort of like figured out this center console either, but tons of headroom. It's absolutely remarkable. You've got an SOS system, sort of like similar to GM's OnStar up there as well. Don't exactly know what that's connected to. But you've got an absolute barrage of room down here. You could get a small suitcase in there. So it's actually been quite well thought out. It's different. Huge panoramic roof, which I'm sure this glass sort of darkens itself, but I'm not, without any kind of internal screen to cover it, I'm not sure I like that. But it's impressive. But the whole airiness of the cabin means you've got an absolute plethora of reflections that's on this center screen, which I don't like. Even this small screen in front of the driver, there's an awful lot of reflections on it all. There's no cowling over any of these. It would be much better if it had that. So that I don't like. But overall, you get a real nice feeling of space. The technology is it's nice, but it's usable. It's easy to figure out. I'm going to collect Jennifer, who is the concierge here at Fred Martin Mercedes, and I want to thank Jennifer and Marty for making this video happen. So Fred Martin Mercedes is in Austintown, Ohio. I will put their website in the description. But Jennifer will be coming with me to ride in this today, since it's a high value used vehicle that they've got. And we'll just go and pick her up now. Instantaneously, you've got all types of driving connectivity that you've got in this thing, and you only have to take your foot off the accelerator and you've stopped. You don't need to use the brake at all, which that would really take some getting used to. It is particularly weird when you're in reverse. And certainly when you were maneuvering around tight parking lots like this one, the seats are super hard. Very firm.
That's what Marty's like. These are uncomfortable.
Yeah, especially there's not a lot of the lumbar is really weird. It's quite hard. Okay, that's.
I do like the map though. That this is like the aerial footage.
Yeah, the 3D. It's just like having an iPad in front of you, and it's. I think it's a bit more intuitive than the Mercedes actually.
Oh, yeah.
I was able to work my way around it quite easy. I don't know if this has got you know, they come that plastic that they come on when they're new, and if it's covered in that, but it's kind of really reflective. There's a lot of reflections off it, because it looks opaque almost. The driving position I really like in it, and those big 21-inch wheels, I mean, you can feel every like pothole that you go over.
It's so weird. Yeah, you just hit it the other way, or just hit it up again. Hit it down again.
Because I don't even see any like lights for the directional indicators at all. There we go. You have to hit it like a little bit. It's quite interesting that the lane assist sort of shows you graphically if you are about to go into a hedge.
Yeah, and then the cars and stuff. Now Tesla has that same thing where the cars all appear, like you can still see that car. Well, now it's gone.
Yes.
But yeah, you'll see them go by you, and sometimes it'll even read like semis or trucks, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll only get disconcerted with that if it sort of depicts a guy on a bicycle.
Yeah.
Coming past. But I like how it sort of like graduates from a small section of the screen which shows the navigation to this, and then you've got your speed on the other side. That's very cool. I like that. So I'm with Jennifer, by the way, who's the concierge at Fred Martin Mercedes in Austintown, Ohio. And Jennifer and my friend Marty are very, very gracious in letting me come out here and taking up their day and trying these various cars out. But it's in doing so, the thing is, when you are like a normal private citizen and you don't deal with the motor industry or anything like that, and you just stick to one car for 4 years, you really don't understand the changes in the technology. Things are just sort of going leaps and bounds right now. And when you get into a vehicle like this, it can be quite intimidating.
Oh, yes.
I took a Mercedes EQS out earlier, and that was in particular. This is much more like operating, it's a bit like an iPad on wheels. Yeah, the ride is very firm in this, without a doubt. But the steering's nice. I like the size of the steering wheel. It's not overly big. I was expecting it to be bigger than this. Because in the Hummer EV, I didn't get to drive that, but I was sort of all over it like a rash. And it was, you get in the steering wheel in that, and everything about that car is ridiculous. I mean, even the vents for the ventilation are just monolithic. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And the steering wheel was the same way. The last time I saw a steering wheel like that was on a ship. But this is probably the Hummer EV's closest rival, and it feels much more contained. It feels obviously considerably smaller and more manageable. But yeah, this is weird. I don't know if the brake lights come on automatically when you do that, but yeah, you really feel like you're sort of like driving a sewing machine. And as soon as you pull your foot off the pedal, it slows right down instantly. So I don't know if it's much more noticeable. It's noticeable enough when you're on the freeway, but it's really noticeable if you are going around a parking lot and you're dealing with other cars in the parking lot. I like the build quality when you consider that, Rivian is a new brand. It doesn't feel like it's been put together by a zoo. Whoa. Go on, dude, you're filling my screen in this.
I know, like, I love that.
Now that's better.
It's still showing
now I can see,
a caution behind you.
Now I can see what speed I'm doing. So there we have it. This wonderful 2024 Rivian R1S. Really been very grateful to Marty and Jen for being able to take this car out and do this video today. But yeah, something very different for the channel. And yeah, really happy to have included it. Would I buy one of these if I could afford it? Absolutely. I think it's great. I love almost everything about it. But anyway, that's it from me. I'm Darren, and this is Auto Atlantica.